Shiratsuyu, meaning white dew, was the lead vessel of 10 Shiratsuyu-class destroyers and the first of 6 constructed for the Imperial Japanese Navy under the Circle 1 program, or Maru Ichi Keikaku. The Shiratsuyu-class destroyers were enhanced variants of the earlier Hatsuharu-class, designed to serve with Japan's main battle fleet and launch torpedo attacks, by day or night, against the advancing United States Navy in the Pacific, per Japanese naval doctrine. Although among the world's most powerful destroyers when completed, none survived the Pacific War. In overall design, the Shiratsuyu-class destroyers closely resembled the Ariake subclass, the final version of the Hatsuharu-class, with key changes being a lower, more compact bridge and differently shaped angled funnels. The hull retained the Hatsuharu-class's basic configuration, including a long flared forecastle to enhance seakeeping and minimize deck spray at speed, though the Shiratsuyu featured a shorter forecastle and an extended stern. Propulsion systems remained the same as those in the Hatsuharu class, but slightly increased displacement and draft limited the Shiratsuyu class to a maximum speed of 34 knots. These vessels were the first in the Japanese Navy to enter service with quadruple torpedo launchers and direct telephone connections to the torpedo control room. As with the Hatsuharu class, their launchers were fitted with weather shields to allow use in heavy seas and guard against shell splinters. The Shiratsuyu-class destroyers carried the same 50 caliber 12.7 cm 50 Type 3 naval guns as the Fubuki class, but with turrets elevating to 75 degrees, offering limited anti-aircraft capability. During wartime refits, the aft X turret was removed on surviving ships and replaced with a triple Type 96 anti-aircraft mount. Additional mounts increased the number of these guns to between 13 and 21 per ship, using twin and triple setups. Though powered, their slow traverse and elevation limited effectiveness against fast aircraft, prompting the addition of single mounts in 1944. 4 13mm AA guns were also fitted. Torpedo armament consisted of 61 cm Type 90 torpedoes in quadruple Type 92 launchers derived from the twin Type 89 mounts on Takao-class cruisers. Shields protected the launchers from weather and aircraft strafing. The mounts could rotate 360 degrees in 25 seconds via electro-hydraulic power or 2 minutes by hand. Each ship carried 8 reloads, and each tube could be reloaded in 23 seconds using a motorized wire and winch system. To reduce top weight from added anti-aircraft guns, 1 reload set and the mine-laying/mine-sweeping equipment were later removed. By the Pacific War's onset, the class had fully converted to the Type 93 Long Lance torpedo. Originally, just 18 depth charges were carried on a stern rack, but by late 1942, this was doubled to 36, with 4 depth charge throws added. The class lacked sonar and hydrophones at launch, but these were installed after the outbreak of war, using Type 93 sonar and hydrophone equipment. Shiratsuyu, constructed at the Sasebo Naval Arsenal, was laid down on November 14, 1933, launched on April 5, 1935, and officially commissioned on September 7, 1936. At the time of the Pearl Harbor attack, Shiratsuyu was part of Destroyer Division 27, Destroyer Squadron 1 of the IJN First Fleet, and remained in Japanese waters to help guard the battleship force. From mid-January 1942, she assisted in convoy escort duties between Japan and Taiwan, and in mid-February escorted the carrier Zuihyo to Davao and back to Hashirajima. In April, she escorted the carriers Shokaku and Zuikaku from Mako to Truk, from where she joined Admiral Takeo Takagi's strike force at the Battle of the Coral Sea in early May. At May's end, she escorted the cruisers Miyoko and Haguro back to Kure, and was then assigned to Admiral Shiro Takasu's Aleutians Guard Force during the Battle of Midway at the start of June. On July 14th, she was reassigned to the IJN Second Fleet and returned to Truk in mid-August, from where she was used as a high-speed transport to land troops to reoccupy Macon Atoll after the Macon raid. Until mid-September, Shiratsuyu operated from Jalowit in the Marshall Islands, but starting in October was deployed to the Solomon Islands, conducting multiple Tokyo Express high-speed transport missions to Guadalcanal. During an attack run to Guadalcanal on October 25th, she helped sink the U.S. tugboat USS Seminole and damaged the high-speed minesweeper USS Zane. She took part in the First Naval Battle of Guadalcanal on the night of November 12, 1942, rescuing survivors from the torpedoed battleship He, though she did not engage in direct combat. On the 23rd of November, while on a transport mission to Leh, she rescued survivors from the destroyer Hayashio, which she subsequently scuttled with a torpedo. However, on her next mission to Buna on November 28th, Shiratsuyu suffered a devastating blow when a bomb from a USAAF B-17 Flying Fortress struck her bow in a sudden air assault, tearing through her forward section and crippling her mission. Struggling to stay afloat, she limped to Rabaul for urgent patchwork, then to Truk and Saipan, before finally reaching Sasebo on February 25, 1943 for full repairs. After months in dry dock, she returned to action on July 20, 1943 with the Imperial Japanese Navy's Second Fleet, escorting the carrier Unyo on a tense voyage from Yokosuka to Truk and back in late August. By mid-October, she was back at Rabaul, once again thrown into the fray, this time carrying troops on perilous transport runs to embattled Kavuvu. In the chaos of the Battle of Empress Augusta Bay on November 2nd, Shiratsuyu collided violently with the destroyer Samidare, a disastrous blow that left her vulnerable. Moments later, American aircraft swooped in, raking her decks with gunfire. 4 crew were killed, 2 wounded, and the battered ship was forced to retreat to Sasebo for repairs later that month. During the refit, one of her main gun turrets was removed, replaced by 2 triple-mounted 25mm anti-aircraft guns in a desperate bid to bolster her defenses. She returned to Truk at the end of December, guarding the heavy cruisers Melko, Haguro, and Tone as they pressed on to Kavieng in early January. On January 31st, she raced to aid the stricken Yasukuni Maru, rescuing survivors after it was torn apart by a torpedo near Truk. From February through April, she sailed as part of the elite escort force protecting the mighty battleship Musashi. By late April, her orders changed. She was reassigned to the grueling Teika-Icha convoy duty, escorting vulnerable troop transports from China to the Philippines and across the perilous waters of Southeast Asia. On the 8th of June, off Bayek, Shiratsuyu came under sudden attack by U.S. Navy aircraft. 4 crew were killed, 5 wounded, and her battered frame limped onward. But worse lay ahead. On the night of June 14th, disaster struck when she collided the Japanese tanker Seiyo Maru, 90 nautical miles southeast of Surigao Strait. The impact triggered her own depth charges, unleashing a deadly blast among those struggling in the water. In the chaos, 104 of her crew perished, including her commanding officer, Mangakuro Matsuda. Her name was stricken from the Naval Register on the 10th of August, 1944. One less warship in an already dying Navy.